Hello everyone, welcome to Webbing My Life. In today's video, we are going to discuss about web development roadmap for 2022 and beyond. So let's get started. There are three kinds of web development jobs in the market. There is front-end development, back-end development, and full stack development. Front-end developers are responsible for translating your designs into web pages, and also they write some logic in the front end to interact with the available backend, while backend developers are responsible for writing the business logic and creating interface between the front end and the database. Full stack developers can do the job of both a front end developer and a backend developer. A quick disclaimer before starting: it is a good thing to keep your expectations low in the beginning. It is really difficult for an individual developer to create websites like Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Big teams have worked years and years to get these websites to their current form. But don't let that discourage you from creating your next big website. So let's start with the basics, the things you need to learn no matter which developer you are going to become. You need to first learn the three pillars of web development, that are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML or hypertext markup language is the markup language for the web. You design the structure of a website using HTML. CSS or cascading style sheet is the styling language for the web. You make your website look gorgeous using CSS styles, while JavaScript is the language to make your website interactive. So learning these three are no-brainer for any kind of web developer. Next, you need a text editor. It is highly unlikely that you will write your code on Notepad for both personal and professional work. For that, the editor of my choice will be Visual Studio Code, but you can use editors like Atoms, Sublime Text, etc. Next, you need to know about version control. What is version control or why version control? Version control is important for the software development industry. It lets developers to collaborate with each other. It also helps us to roll back to an older version of code if we mess something up and there is no other way to fix that. So version control, you can see, is an important tool for us. The two version control tools we use for web development or generally any software development are Git and GitHub. Git is the version control tool for local machine, while GitHub can be described as the version control for the web. You can collaborate with other developers using Git and GitHub. Now, if you are using Git and GitHub, you need to know something about the terminal, and you will use some commands to deal with Git and GitHub. So, don't be afraid of the terminal and embrace it. Next, if you are learning front-end web development, then the next tool to learn will be SCSS. SCSS is CSS with superpowers. If you are comfortable with CSS and want to extend your productivity, then you must learn SCSS. Quick disclaimer: once you start to get the hang of SCSS, there is no way back. Next, you need to learn one of these CSS frameworks. There are a lot more, but I will recommend learning these two or any one of these. There is Bootstrap, which is a component based library where you have components like card, navigation bar, etc. While Tailwind CSS is an utility first CSS framework where you get things like margin, padding, color, background color, and you can create your own components using that. Setting up Tailwind CSS is a bit difficult than Bootstrap, but once you get the hang of it, it will be worth it. Next, you need to learn about one of the front-end frameworks. If you are aiming to be a front-end or full-stack web developer, then you must learn a front-end framework. The top three front-end frameworks recently are React, Vue, and Angular. Don't confuse Angular with AngularJS, and as AngularJS is the older version of Angular and no longer maintained. Made by Google, Angular is one of the popular front-end frameworks which has a proper ecosystem to build modern applications. But the learning curve of Angular is quite steep, so I don't recommend beginners to start with Angular, but it is a really popular framework for big projects. You can start with React or Vue, which are relatively easier to learn than Angular. Made by Facebook, React is currently the most popular front-end framework. So you can go no wrong with React, but my personal choice is Vue.js. Made by even you, Vue.js is currently on version 3 and has really robust system like Angular, but it is easy to learn as React. It is like React and Angular had a baby, which is Vue.js, and it is really popular framework nowadays. Once you have the knowledge of front-end frameworks like React or Vue or Angular, you can proceed to advanced front-end development using server-side rendering and static-side generation. Frameworks like Next.js, Gatsby, Nux.js are important in this procedure, but I am not going to talk much about them in this video. Next, we are going to learn about backend development. If you are becoming a backend developer, then you must learn these things to get started with. First, you need to pick a language for backend development. Now, there are plenty of options, but I will categorize these four languages as the top of them. First is Node.js. Node.js lets you write backend with an already known language, that is JavaScript. It is a JavaScript runtime environment for your computer which lets you run JavaScript without the use of an browser. You can also do backend development in Python, which is the most versatile language currently. It can be used for machine learning, artificial intelligence, and many more. But you can use it for web development as well. Go is a new candidate in the web development space, but it is super fast because it is a compiled language like C. It was developed by Google and it is used internally in Google as well. If you are concerned about the speed of your web development or speed of your application, then Go is a no brainer. Then there is the old and gold language of backend web development, which is PHP. You cannot go wrong with PHP even in 2022. Next, you need to learn backend frameworks to make your backend web development faster and more efficient. If you have picked Node.js as your language, then Express using Express is a no-brainer because it has a huge community and it is really popular. Also, you can use frameworks like Fastify or Kua to get speed. Next is Node.js plus TypeScript. You can go nothing wrong with Node.js plus TypeScript combo. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript developed by Microsoft. TypeScript uses type inference, which lets you be a less error prone developer. So, TypeScript plus Node.js is a modern way to develop your backend, and you can go nothing wrong with TypeScript. If Python is your choice of language for backend development, then you can go no wrong with Django. Django is one of the best backend frameworks I have ever used, and it is really popular. Django comes with all bells and whistles like admin panel and user accounts and permission management, which lets you develop a backend really quick. While Flask is a minimum backend framework you can go no wrong with. Next, if you are using Go, then Go itself is a good language to start backend development. But if you need a framework for that, you can use Jin, which is really popular in the Go community. I am making a tutorial on Go and Jin, so keep subscribed to know more about that tutorial. Next, there is PHP. PHP by itself is really good, but for making bigger websites, you need to use a framework like Laravel or CodeIgniter. Next is the PHP WordPress combo. PHP plus WordPress combo runs the 30% of the internet. So learning PHP with WordPress won't be a bad option and it will be a really good option for the future as well. Next, you need to learn about database management systems. For database, there are two kinds of database, NoSQL database and SQL database. SQL databases uses tables while NoSQL databases uses object model, JavaScript object model. SQL databases provide integrity and structure while NoSQL databases are more flexible and scalable. So it will be your personal choice for your personal softwares. MongoDB is a really popular NoSQL database, while for SQL there is PostgreSQL and MySQL, which are really popular in the marketplace. So that will be it from me. I know I haven't touched a lot of topics, but these are the things you need to get started with web development. Hope you have enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel and thank you for watching.